this time I'd like to introduce our Supervisor of Transportation, Mr. Bob Engel, and Matt Fisher, our Technology Supervisor.
Okay. Thank you. We just want to go over a few things tonight, some of the new technology in the transportation department. There is a little bit of confusion out there with the MyStop app and the E-Link. A lot of parents have been calling and saying that they can't find their bus information on the MyStop app. The MyStop app is actually an active app for when the buses are running. That's the main difference. And some people have been having trouble accessing the MyStop app. Part of that is either they've downloaded the wrong MyStop app. The important thing is when you go to download the MyStop app, there's like 2 or 3 of them out there, depending on which site you go from. If you go from the Apple site, or you go to the Play Store site on the Android. But you want to look for the Versatrans MyStop. That's the main thing, is that you got the right one. And then the other piece of that is that the E-Link is what you're actually looking for when you're looking for bus information, as far as where is your stop and what time is the bus going to come. It has your bus pass information on the E-Link, not on the MyStop. And the easiest way to get to the E-Link information is to go to our website. When you go to our website, begin at the top of the page, right next to that, it says departments. If you hover over that, all the departments will drop down. Go to transportation. When you get to transportation, you'll see it says 2019-20 bus information. If you look 2 lines below that, it'll say click here to find E-Link. And so you just click there, that pops up. If you're a public school parent, all you need to do is put in the grade and your address, and it will give you all the information for that student. If you're a private or a charter school parent, you will have to put that information in, and then click above it. There's another advanced search that you have to add your school and the program. So if you're at one of the parochial schools, you'll put in private school. If you're at the only charter school we have is math and science. So if you're a math and science parent, you want to go in and put in charter school, and then that will give you the information for the private and charter school information for bus stops.
So what would be the username and password on on E-Link?
On E-Link,
Yeah.
there is none. Once you click on that where it says click here,
Yep.
as soon as you click there, you don't have to have any passwords or anything. You just have to know what grade your student's in and what your address is.
Okay, because it pulled me up to a username and password page.
Did you link off the website?
Never brought me up to
Yep.
that.
It says click here to access the E-Link website.
Well, if it does give you that, it is your telephone number with the area code, no dashes, just the 10 digits. And then that would be your username, and your password would be the identical thing right below it. And then that'll get you in. But mine just comes up on my computer. I don't know. Maybe trust me. But one thing we have found out is with our charter schools, we get downloads from our charter schools. In those downloads, the secretaries at the private and charter schools have sent us telephone numbers with the dashes in between there. So we're cleaning those up now. We'll get those cleaned up as quickly as possible so that the MyStop link works. I think that's it. I'll turn it over to Matt, and he'll tell you how everything works.
All right. So I'm going to do a quick demonstration of the MyStop app. You know, First Trans MyStop app is available for all parents of the district. It provides secure access to parents and guardians with information on the location of their child's school bus and the time is expected at their stop. The app works. It works with our existing GPS equipment used by our transportation department. It's already being utilized by our transportation department. It's free for use, Google Play Store and Apple App Store. So when you first download this program and you begin using it, the first thing that's going to come up is going to ask you to choose your school district. Many school districts that use this in the United States, so the list can get pretty lengthy. The next thing when you start choosing it, depending on if you have your location or GPS enabled on your device, if you do, it's just probably going to give you the top 3 schools in your area, and for us, you know, obviously Northwest Local. If you have it turned off, you're going to have to search through a list of probably 500 school districts. So next thing it's going to take you to is once your app's configured for the district, it's going to ask you for your username and password. Like Bob said, the username and password is going to be your phone number. So when this information comes over from our student information system into our VersaTrans software, we pull in one primary contact number per student. So we try our best to make sure that primary number is actually the primary number and it's correct. So the username and password is currently going to be that number for both fields. So next step, obviously, is what we want to do, encourage everybody to change their password when they first log in. That's in the setup menu, and I'll get to that in a second. So once you're logged in, so here are a couple sample screenshots. These are not our students. This is actually these screenshots from the web and Google Play. You're going to see, depending on the time of day, wherever, you know, when you use this app, if you are using this after hours, you're likely going to see, like in screenshot on the left, is you're going to see buses not active. This is pretty common during if it's before like 8 a.m. the buses don't go out. You're going to see, and then below it's going to provide status updates of estimated time of arrival. What you see on the left screenshot is what it says there. If you can't read it, it says estimated time of arrival, 7:24 a.m. That is the actual arrival time that would reflect what's in the transportation software at the transportation department. So, you know, a little bit about this is what you're going to see here is the app does refresh every 5 to 10 seconds based on the GPS data that's pulled from the buses. There's no student information here, basically besides the first name, besides the student name and the bus number. Tracking a bus, you can track it as early as 30 minutes prior to the route, so which would be probably about 1 hour before school starts. And we'll move the screenshot on the right side. What you're going to see here is what the transportation department has the ability to change for days of inclement weather. They can actually change the hours of the ETA to reflect the 2-hour delay. Below that, you'll see, you know, constant updates of the bus and the location that's currently at when it receives a status update. Typically, when the bus is after a bus picks a student up, you'll see a status below bus pass stop. So it's very active. It's going to always continue to update every 5 to 10 seconds, depending on the status of the bus. Now, if the bus happens to be parked or turned off, you're going to see a status of the bus is not active. So one neat thing about this is when you have a family of siblings, if they all share the same phone number that's in our student information system and it all comes over correctly, we're able to switch between students, even if they attend different schools and they ride different routes. Basically what they do is they, top left corner, just select the student name, and then they can switch between students on the right. All right, so this is just a quick screenshot of the setup screen. This is where you change your password, log out. If you don't log out of the app, you stay logged in consistently. The transportation department can actually push out delayed bus notifications. So, and sometimes it can be automatic. So, we can actually configure the system to say if the bus leaves 10 minutes late, it can set out an automatic notification of there's a delayed bus. Bob actually can also send out any type of delays or any type of alerts in terms of like if there's any accidents, traffic, so on. So these are all using push notifications. This is also available on the desktop and laptop. It's very limited. You basically just see a map and then the status of the route at the bottom. This information is provided on the FAQ on the website. So, stated here. More information, frequently asked questions. It's all on the transportation webpage on our website. And if you need to access the desktop app, the URL is in there as well. So.
The app, the VersaTrans laptop app, are all users using phone numbers or other school districts?
I've seen it different ways. There's different options. You can go anywhere between student ID. But the issue, we actually had a problem back in May when we rolled this out. We realized that there was a lot of siblings and families, and when we had them log in, they were logging in a separate account. So each student had their own separate ID. We weren't able to link the siblings up. It caused a lot of problems for parents. So we felt that just using that unique phone number does help.
And I understand that completely. I'm a parent with a child in the district, and when I logged into the app and when I downloaded the app, I didn't know what to do next. There weren't any instructions on getting phone number, what the username or password was. So I'm trying to figure out how do we do that without having to go to a separate website. I didn't know how to log in.
Yeah, the VersaTrans app won't. It gives you a very generic login page, and they're not going to tell you. Every district, they rely on the districts to communicate that out on their website or forms, letters home.
So should we roll it out again then through email or text?
We have several times already.
Okay.
I guess it doesn't hurt to do it again. Yeah, that information, so what we've been doing is sending out communication to parents of go to the website to read about it. It could be a little more descriptive than saying using My Stop app, log in. This would be your login information.
No, I just think this information is invaluable, and for parents to be able, because we know people get in a car accident, they're late to work, that might cause a bus to leave the lot late 10 minutes. If you could put that out and help people adjust, that's going to be tremendous. It was kind of weird when Diane and I talked about it. Usually when you log on, it says new customer or new login, so you click on that and it goes. So we've just got to make sure that that form that you have, that Google form, is awesome. If we could just put it maybe on the front page of the transportation where people don't have to click on it and they just see it,
Yep.
maybe that would help.
Yeah, sometimes links get hidden and ignored.
Cool.
The reason that we use the phone number is the VersaTrans system actually uses the telephone numbers, the family ID.
Yeah, the phone number's fine. I just didn't know
Right.
what to put in there.
That's why we use it. I just want to.
No, that's perfectly fine. I understand it. It's just when I first downloaded the app and it says username and password, and I'd never downloaded that before, I didn't know what I was supposed to do.
Right.
Like getting a new customer, knowing the other app, it'll say either log in or sign up.
Yep.
There was no sign up for me in the building.
Yeah, we're used to those systems where self-service sign up. Unfortunately, as is one of those. Yeah.
Just trying to see what can we do to make it so that they know what that number is.
Yeah, the best we can do is just continue to communicate.
Yeah, maybe copy and paste that Google form, and that's what's emailed out, because right there it tells you everything.
Todd, we'll keep that on the website as well. We'll blast it out a couple more times.
But when they click on transportation, maybe have it printed out there, because it's really cool. You've got the Apple one, or you've got the Android, and then right below it, it tells you a phone number, but you're right, when you click on My Stop, we'll help you guys there.
That was a big thing for parents, was that every child had to have their own account. And when we rolled it out in May, that's when we realized it. And then Matt called and we talked about it, and I'm like, well, the family ID, we could just use that. And that's when we changed all of our telephone numbers in our district to eliminate all the dashes. But,
Dashes.
yeah, now we're
Parentheses.
working on the parochial stuff. Questions?
Mr. Engel, the parents of the parochial schools as well as our district public schools, are they calmed down now as to the 1 mile radius? Or are you still getting phone calls?
Well, we still get a few phone calls, but yeah, for the most part, I think people realize is that, we're doing what we have to do as a school district, so, I mean, it's not easy to take all the time, but nonetheless, it's what we've got to do.
Yeah. Three of us, right? Yeah.
Brendan, I come up on the podium.
Okay. I'll go for the first two.
Special presentation
Are we all
of
going
our
Are you
five-year
just doing it?
strategic
Go.
plan.
You got it. We all go.
You guys good with sound from Waycross? From here, just making sure. And I want to make sure I don't block your screen either. So, we have worked very hard to develop our strategic plan for the Northwest Local School District. Clicker to the next page. What we wanted to do is provide a focus for the district, not that we have not been, but provide a stronger focus, especially in lieu of funding changes over the past 3 to 5 years and changes to what we can and cannot do based on funding. We wanted to provide clarity and transparency, and we wanted to ensure stability for the next 3 to 5 years. The process was our strategic plan was created with stakeholder engagement. So we recruited parents, community members, students, and staff. Board members were interviewed by Brad and Bill, and a combination of 62 staff members, 20 parents, students and board members, like I said, and a survey to gather more feedback from just our group itself. The group started out as 2 separate groups that met during the evening, and then we had our leadership team that met during the day, and we continually gathered feedback on what our strategic plan would look like. On the survey, we got 56% of the survey reported back was from parents, 8% was from community members, and 36% was from staff. So the majority of the responses were from parents. We revisited our mission. If the current board members who were here 4 years ago, we changed our mission and vision. We brought Hamilton County in. We looked at what it would entail, what it would create, so we could move forward. But we used a larger group. We wanted more input from parents, more input from students, our staff members, our stakeholders. So we came up with our mission, the Northwest Local School District will create a responsive learning community where all students are valued, challenged, and guided along a pathway to success. All students, high performing, low performing, in the middle, need encouragement, need to be stimulated. Challenge them on a daily basis. A lot of the talk we get about instruction in classrooms is that, sometimes my student has to sit there and wait while the rest of the class catches up. But we don't want that for anybody. We want individual learning to occur. So we talked about creating a plan where all students could move at their pace, yet continue to have mastery of what they were being taught, and those who show mastery go above and beyond and take even more on. So our vision, teaching and learning in the Northwest Local School will be as follows. Provide learning experiences that empower students to continue to a future not yet imagined, especially with 21st century learning skills. Inspire learners to adapt, be resilient, collaborate, and problem solve. Create a supportive social, emotional culture, and provide a foundation to cultivate healthy relationships. I think the last two are very important in lieu of what's been coming down through education the past couple years. You see the importance that funding is not getting any from our governor, but that they are allotting money and putting a lot of funds toward emotional and social health. And as we support our children, if we want to get them to showing mastery in language arts and math and all our other subject areas, we have to first help them through the emotional and social part. So I think this mission and vision is going to take us a long way in what we need to do to achieve our strategic plan, and then we'll continue to go over the different pillars. Yep. Lastly, guided by these beliefs, students and staff excel best when they feel welcomed in a building, safe in their classrooms, and trustful of each other. Everybody needs to feel safe. Right now, we have some unfortunate incidents that are happening out in the public at night events in businesses. If you go back 2 years ago, some of it was going on, or a lot more of it was going on in schools. So hopefully the trend stays to where it stays out of school, but as we start the new school year and copycats start to begin, we have to be very careful. We spent a lot of time this summer with Alice training and Dustin putting on several things to make sure we're ready to go if something does happen in our schools. But if you want a student to be able to learn, they have to feel safe when they come there. And our students tell us all the time that school is one of the best places they have to learn. Staff, same way. If a staff doesn't feel supported, if a staff member doesn't feel safe, it's very difficult to teach and instruct. All students and staff can learn and deserve opportunities to show and achieve success guided by themselves. Diversity is valued, and working to understand each other is vital and imperative. We will have a presentation on staffing, as we did last year, as we move on into September, after we get final numbers. And we will show you that staffing diverse candidates and getting candidates that are more reflective of our student body is exactly what we've achieved this year, and we want to continue that. We have high expectations and provide holistic support to ensure the success of all. And lastly, building and maintaining collaborative relationships with community members is foundational to the teaching and learning in NWLSD. And if we're going to pass the levy, we have to be collaborative, we have to listen, we have to provide key facts, and then listen to what the community says about that. As we move forward, the strategic plan will give us a lot of guidance that Daryl and Brenda will go over on what our pillars are and how we will achieve these goals. So at this time, we'll turn it over to Daryl and Brenda.
So one of the things that excites us about this strategic plan is Todd went over a lot of the big picture stuff, the mission, vision, and the beliefs. And those really are kind of, if you think of a funnel, the top of the funnel that are the big ideas. And as we go down through it, we get to the more specific things that are going to happen that are going to lead us to realize those lofty ideas that Todd articulated. So when we went through the process, there were 5 areas that came out as major areas of focus for the district if we were going to move the needle to get closer to really realizing that vision and mission of the district. And the 5 areas were a focus on student achievement, a focus on social emotional development, a focus on diversity and equity, a focus on financial stability, and a focus on a culture of trust. So Brenda and I are going to go through and kind of talk about what each of these mean. One of the things that really is going to help brand our district moving forward is this plan and the way we frame the plan. And one of the things that we're really excited about is to kind of unveil tonight to you and tomorrow to our entire staff, and beyond that to our entire community, the hashtag that's going to help us move this plan into our common vernacular, into the everyday language of the staff, students, and parents of the community to understand the context of this plan. And that hashtag that we're excited to announce is Go Beyond. Because everything in this plan is going to align and talk to and direct us in going beyond expectations, going beyond for the social emotional development of those students, going beyond in every way possible we can to make this plan a reality and to make it something that not only is here in a document, but living and breathing in each of the staff members, community members, parents, and students of the district, that we are all going beyond for this district and for the students of this district. So Brenda and I are going to go through and talk about those 5 areas. One of the things that's really important for us to keep in mind is these 5 areas seem separate because they have different pages of the plan, but these 5 areas overlap in so many ways. To be able to try to pull them apart, you can't. They are inextricably tied together and linked and interwoven. So as we talk through this, you'll see some of that overlap, but it's very important for us that as we communicate this plan, these 5 areas are not in isolation and are not in silos. They are completely connected and interwoven with each other, which is why Brenda and I will probably talk over each other some tonight, which is fine because we work together well that way. We've committed to our stakeholders that we are going to go beyond. In this plan, the last page of the plan, we ask our stakeholders to make the commitment with us, that you commit with us to go beyond, and that you make the commitment to go beyond for the district and the kids of this district so that we can realize those mission and visions. So student achievement, I'm going to let Brenda lead this one, and we'll probably tag team through the whole, through all of these.
Good evening. So with student achievement, we want to go beyond the numbers. That's kind of the message in our strategic plan. And what that means is not that we don't care about our data, our report card, we care very much about those things. But we believe that if we change and improve the student learning experience, that we will see subsequently improvements in the data. So as a committee developing the strategic plan, the conversation was very much about learning opportunities and experiences. So our objectives: create a learning experience that is rigorous and engaging for all students. We have had a lot of professional development already this summer, helping us to think about ways to teach differently. All of our middle school math teachers are studying ways to teach math differently in the classroom. Lots of our teachers and administrators had the opportunity this summer to participate in the Kagan Cooperative Learning workshops, and that is all about how to get kids really focused on collaborating and communicating and being creative when working together in a group like they will often have to do in the workplace. The next one has really been, as a curriculum department, something we've been stressing since last year. We really want to have a relentless focus on literacy. And when we talk about literacy here, we're not just talking about the reading and writing, we're also talking about listening, speaking, thinking, and viewing. All things that we need to be able to do to be literate in our society. And so we also really want to stress that we're talking about literacy across all content areas, across the school day and beyond. So we're not just talking about the English or the language arts teacher here. We want to make sure that everybody finds and feels their responsibility and opportunity to go beyond in terms of what they offer to our students in this area. Finally, we want to really facilitate student ownership of the learning process. And we know that we can do that if we personalize the learning experience for our students and if we differentiate or plan instruction in such a way that we're meeting the needs, as Daryl said, of all of our students. So lots of buzzwords in there. We're working really hard to kind of define and show the connectedness between initiatives that are designed to help us to grow in this area. Today was a very exciting day with having our teachers back. Had a chance to get to all the middle schools and high schools, and I saw lots of evidence today that we're already on this path, trying to work toward doing things differently in the classroom so that we better meet the needs of our students.
So the second strategic focus is around social emotional development. And with all of that Brenda just said around the focus on student achievement, it can't happen unless we have that underlying culture to make sure that students have all their needs met so that they are coming in ready to learn. And so we want everyone to be knowledgeable of the characteristics which lead to identification of social emotional needs. We need every adult in the building to understand how to identify kids who might need supports in order to access curriculum. Whether that's the bus driver who on the way in talks to this kid and figures out this kid might need to talk to someone and they get to the counselor or the administrator. Stakeholders have an awareness of available resources and an empowerment to access them. We have a tremendous amount of resources in this district, and we continue to evolve and build more and more resources around the social emotional development of students. With counselors in the elementary now, we have an entire social emotional curriculum that they are rolling out and implementing. So we have a lot of resources and supports that are happening, and we need to make sure that all of our staff know what's out there and how they access that. And that we have access to wraparound services. This is not just wrapping around our kids, this is wrapping around our families. Because if kids are struggling, families might be struggling, and we need to support our families in the support of our students and our staff. Our staff are in the front lines building relationships with kids. And when they build those relationships, whether it's the aide who is with them in every class, the bus driver who sees them every morning and every afternoon, the nurse who sees them on a regular basis, they get to know our kids. And they get to know what's going on with the kids, and they are caring people who take what they learn about the kids home with them. They don't leave it at the door when they leave the building. And it weighs heavy on the hearts and souls of our staff. And what we need to do is make sure that we're helping support our staff so that they're the best version of themselves for the kids that they serve. So this is not just about kids, this is about families and staff. And it's about making sure that all of us, when we come into the building and the classrooms, are the best version of ourselves, whether we're the student, the teacher, the aide, the bus driver. We're supporting everyone. Diversity and equity is a major focus for the district. Todd talked about the staffing focus, and that's written into our plan and our objectives. But we're focusing on developing student and parent outreach opportunities to increase cultural awareness and participation of diverse students in all curricular and extracurricular activities, so that we're making sure that the opportunities are there, that everyone has access, that all kids are included, that we build a more diverse, equitable, and inclusive learning environment that is accessible to all students. No matter who you are, where you come from, what language you speak, that you have equal access and opportunity to all of the wonderful things that are happening in our buildings, our schools, and after hours with extracurriculars. That those opportunities are not, that you're not sheltered from those because of one of those barriers, that we remove those barriers. That we create a safe and inclusive environment that honors, embraces, and celebrates the diversity of our students, our schools, and our community. That we truly understand that the things that are unique about each individual enrich all of us, and that we truly value the differences that people bring, the perspectives that they bring, and that everybody is able to understand and value all of that, and that all perspectives are welcomed and supported. And that we continue to focus on increasing the number of minority staff by classification and retain staff so that we represent the student population that we serve. And we continue to strive in all of our efforts to make sure that we are creating a staff that is representative of our students and our community. Financial stability, all of these things around creating opportunities for wellness and social emotional, academic initiatives and the professional development that Brenda talked about require us to be able to provide all of that. And that is provided through the ability to have financial stability in the district. Financial stability means that we have continuous two-way communication with our community on how schools are funded, how money is spent, and what's needed to provide services. Todd mentioned things continue to change and evolve in schools. And we have to have the vision long-term to be able to create the financial structures that we can evolve with the growing needs of our community and schools. That our resources are aligned to our instructional priorities. This plan is not going to sit on shelves. This is a living, breathing document that will hopefully be embodied by everyone. And so when people are asking, Brenda, can we go to this professional development? Is it aligned to our plan? We want this new program. Is it aligned to our plan? We want to spend money on this. Does it align to our plan? That's that financial stability to make sure that the money that we're spending is getting us where we need to go, that this plan has communicated. And that we make sure that we partner with the community so there's a transparent funding cycle. We've been very transparent and clear with the fact that funding is not a one-time fix for schools. It's an ongoing cycle of funding based on the way the state of Ohio and the legislature has outlined how schools are funded in the state law. And so that's not a one-time fix for a community. It's an ongoing commitment with a transparent funding cycle that the community knows what we're spending, why we're spending it, and when the next time we come back, what we need it for. All of this is not possible without trust. It is not possible that principals stood in front of their staff today and presented new ideas and changes to the building if the staff don't trust that they have their best interest at heart and that they're doing it for the right reasons that are aligned to this plan, that are student-focused. That the community understands that when we are sharing information, that we are doing that in a transparent way, and that we want that two-way communication and that feedback, and we want those questions so that we can make sure that we're meeting the needs of our community. The trust is important because without that, all of this isn't possible. So that is the foundation on which all of these other things start to build. That's how it's interwoven, that people trust that the focus on literacy is going to move us in the direction that we need to, that the social emotional development that we are focusing on is going to help kids be prepared to access the curriculum in the classroom. So identifying and implementing opportunities for stakeholders to be heard, involved, and engaged. That we have a transparent communication plan, that we continue to communicate as often as we possibly can. There's that balance between communicating too little, too much, and we're trying to find that balance. And then training and resources that cultivate healthy relationships. That in order for there to be that culture of trust, there has to be the relationship where we have met, we know each other, and that we have that relationship which is foundational to trust. There was a poster that's been around since probably before I taught, which is a long time, that said kids don't care what you know until they know that you care. That's not just a poster that hangs in classrooms. That goes back to a fundamental relationship between any two people. Whether it's Todd talking about the achievement of the district, Amy talking about the finances of the district, that part of we have to know that we don't hear what you know until we know that you care. People have to know we care. We care about the kids of this district, we care about the people of this district, and we care about the community of this district. And so this plan is exciting to us because that's what it all does. It ties it all together for us. We also want to make sure that we communicate that this is a sustainable plan over time. We have the opportunity to build structures of sustainability. That there will be an executive committee that will have a variety of stakeholders on it that will oversee the implementation of this plan. There will be focus area leadership committees. All of those 5 areas we talked about will have a leadership committee that helps implement and guide and direct the work of that part. And then there will be work groups where there might be things that need to be done. There will be larger groups of people engaged in that. So we have the opportunity for a lot of people to be engaged in a lot of different ways so that this plan lives, evolves, and realizes the vision set forth in the mission and vision statement at the beginning of this document. So this is our commitment to the district to go beyond in all of these areas and go beyond in the ability to sustain this over time so the results are tangible for this community. Any follow-up?
I think the important piece of this was the involvement of our stakeholders. We had a lot of input, we had a lot of suggestions, and this is just the beginning. The executive committee who will look at each pillar and the importance of each pillar, and then breaking it down for the area leadership committees. And if they roll that out and they give new ideas and new suggestions, that's where the real work will start, and that'll be with the focus area work group. So we are excited to roll it out to the staff tomorrow. We are excited about the Go Beyond. So we ask that if you follow anything, that you learn that hashtag and you learn to get it out as we go on social media. But we are very excited about what this will bring to the district. But most importantly, it's bringing it at a time where funding is continuously cut. So we go to our pillars and say, where does this fall if we're going to have to keep this or if we're going to have to let this go? So I appreciate the work that Carol, Bill, and those guys have done on this, and they did a great job. So,
Any questions?
I just want to, thank all of you that worked so hard on this. This was an excellent presentation. I love, Lindsay, I don't know if you put this together, this is excellent. The pictures, the content, you don't get lost in it, it's to the point. It's an excellent message.
Lindsay did take all of the work that the committees did and format it into what you see in front of you, which will be live and out there for everyone to see tomorrow once we roll it out to the staff. And just a side note, that every picture that is in there is one of our kids.
this is really, really nice. Great job.
For the community that wants to get involved, how do they get involved in the process?
Once we roll it out to the staff tomorrow, we'll have communication that goes out that will allow people to sign up through an online vehicle so that they can give us their name, their contact information, and which area they think that they would best want to fit, so that we can organize that, contact people, and get that rolling rather quickly. Because we want to get the committees up and running so we can get started on the collaboration around this work as soon as possible.
We wanted to make sure that principals weren't going out and handpicking who was on the committee. So we talked about rolling it out so people could sign up, and we make sure that we involve everybody who would like to be involved.
Is there a limit on the size of these committees, or?
The executive committee and the focus area leadership committees will be smaller committees because they'll be decision-making, they'll be really leading. The broader committee who wants to be involved in the work, that is not really limited. That can be whoever wants to be there to help us get the work done, because we have a lot of work in front of us, but we are excited about doing the work because we have the focus, we have the alignment, and we have the organization to get it done.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Okay, we're gonna skip past, our legislators are still on vacation.
The application.
Do you have a
Yeah,
question?
one thing.
And, okay, Jim Butler, tech update.
Just wanted to let everybody know that August 1st, Hamilton City Schools is now a member of Butler Tech, and we're up to 11 school districts.
Saw that on Channel 9. Okay, thank you. Okay, we'll move into reports from employee organizations. Certificated or licensed? Classified?
Yeah, can I give a quick update on the
Sure.
personnel?
Sure.
I'll go up here, so, cameras.
I'd just like to give a quick update on the transportation department, the personnel. We had what we thought was the heir apparent to the transportation throne, left us midsummer. We're in the middle of revamping all of our bus routes, about 450 of them. And Thomas Gray got a job offer from the city of Dayton, which he couldn't refuse, and left the department midsummer. I want to thank the board and the HR department and the staff to allow us to do away with the coordinator's position and have two assistants. It really gives, for the little bit of money that was the difference between the two positions, it really makes a big difference to what we can do inside the office with our staff. So it's very, very important to us. And the two appointments that we got to those two positions is very, very good. George Maringer has been with us for, I don't know, 2.5 years now. 3 years. Stepped up, and he's been doing a great job for us over the last 3 years. And we have one of our drivers, Yolanda Palmer. She hit the ground running. I can't say enough for what she's done in the first 10 or 12 days that she's been in the department. So I think it makes a big difference to the parents and the drivers and everybody involved to know that we have a solid staff this year. I think the parents are knowing that when they call the office, they're getting a good response and fair answers. And things been going pretty good. Even, we went through our little hiccup with the 1 mile layout. We knew it was going to be tough, and we got through it. Obviously, it wasn't very popular, but it's something that we had to do. We have to do what we can do with the money that we've got. So, but most of the other things, we do have little problems with some bus stops here and there. We're getting those ironed out. But I just want to say that I think that you, as a board and administrative staff, you'll see us get off to a pretty good start this year. So, thank you.
Bob, I just want to tell you, well, I'm good friends with Bob, and Bob every once in a while says, do you want to go out to dinner? And dinner would be
half an hour or 45 minutes and he says, I'm going back to work. He's been in there at times till 10:30 at night working on these bus routes. So you should be congratulated on that.
And real quick, I was gonna mention this at the end, but I just want to go ahead and wish a nice, safe start to all our bus drivers. I know you guys have worked really hard from the presentation that you and Thomas did, what I guess it's probably been a month now ago, and the way you've handled all the calls and meeting with, and administration as well, meeting with different groups. Because you're right, it is, when you're used to us busing less than a mile and we had to make that tough decision, you know, that's something people, I mean, it's a hard decision and a hard thing to swallow, but I think you guys have handled it very well. And I just want to thank all of you and the department and just wish everybody a nice, safe start to the school year. Can't believe it's already starting back up again. Okay, any reports from school-related organizations? I don't have any requests for community comments, so we'll go, Todd?
Yes, the first item is certificated licensed personnel, certified retirements and resignations. The superintendent recommends the Board of Education approve the certified retirements and resignations as listed.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any questions? Motion passed 5-0.
Next item is classified personnel, classified retirements and resignations. The superintendent recommends the Board of Education approve the classified retirements and resignations as listed.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Questions on classified personnel?
It's not on that one for the,
Do I need to go back?
I don't know, we bounced backwards a lot. We need to be on 11.2.
I'm on
That's
10.2, classified.
That's the report.
Yeah, that's the report. It should be all the way down to 11.2, because that's where superintendent consent. Huh.
That was
There it
weird.
goes. Come on, go
Yeah,
one
it
more.
just jumped all of a sudden.
Yeah, that's
There
weird.
it is.
Okay.
Okay.
Did we have motions?
Yeah, we did.
Okay.
Sorry.
That's okay. Motion passed 5-0.
Good evening. First, I'd like to ask the board to dispense with reading of the July 10th special meeting minutes as listed. Thank you.
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any questions or corrections for this special meeting on July 10th? Okay. Motion passed 5-0.
Okay, next, I'd like to ask the board to dispense with reading of and approve the regular meeting minutes for July 15th as listed.
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and second. Any additions or corrections for the July 15th meeting? Motion passed 5-0.
Next, I'd like to ask the board to dispense with reading of and approve the special meeting minutes for July 18th as listed.
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved in second. Questions for July 18th? Okay. Motion passed 5-0.
Next, I'd like to ask the board to recommend to the board to approve two funds as listed for the AP testing fee and the iliteracy fee, so that we can track these fees separately.
Okay.
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any questions regarding these new funds?
Amy, can you explain a little bit more on why you have these separate funds?
So, last year was the first year we had the AP testing fee mandatory for everybody taking the AP classes. And that fee goes into the school fee supply account with all other fees that are collected. But with the AP testing fee, some students can have a fee waiver by the state later on in the year. And when the fee is waived, it doesn't necessarily mean it goes away. It's still required to be paid, but the district has to pick up whether it's a reduced fee or pick up the total fee. So by having it in a separate account, we can at least track what fees were paid, what fees were waived, and how much the district needs to pick up for those fees.
Thank you.
Recommend that the fees be approved as listed.
I think
We
we
already
have
did that.
Jim, did you?
Yeah, we did. We did that vote.
Stuck
Okay,
again.
motion passed 5-0. It's being a little slow tonight here. That's weird, because I'm on 13.5. And it says I'm synced.
So all, motion passed.
No, no, it's updated.
Okay, and finally, I'd like to ask the board to approve two invoices for payment over the $3,000 requirement for then and now certification. Both invoices were from the prior fiscal year, over $3,000, and for special needs services that were required to be provided.
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved in second. Are there any questions on the then and now certificates?
I have a question. Bobby, we looked at getting some small vans or buses to help maybe offset the cost of some of this transportation. Did that ever happen?
Yeah, we're still looking into that. I think our pilot program during the summer that we ran showed us what it takes to make that really efficient. So I think that's what we're working on now is to really taking a close look of how many students do you actually have to put on one of those vans to make it successful as far as saving the district money. We do have a small pocket of students that if we can get them on our own vans, we stand to save a really large number. But other than that, we're still looking at installing that equipment. We installed one piece of equipment to allow us to do that to one of those students this year. So that'll be our pilot for this year. And hopefully by early January or something like that, we can be looking at what we might possibly do as far as purchasing next year. I think we've already, just today, we've got a price on a smaller vehicle that we may try next year because we got 6 buses this year and we really stretched every dime that we had in that budget. So next year, that some of the things that we didn't do on the buses this year, we're going to have to come out of next year's fund. The extended warranty fees are going to be extended into next year. So that'll have to come out of next year's budget.
Isn't some of this transportation, and I may be wrong, isn't it a billable service if they're on a managed care program, like a CareSource or Molina or Paramount or any of these?
Well, yeah, we do have participation for Medicare. We just have to, we'll be very diligent about how we collect the information of what days those students ride and what days they don't ride. So the actual drivers have to keep a log of when they ride and when they don't.
So there's a potential it could be a revenue stream as well with reimbursement.
Right. We collect the information, we feed that back to Heidi's office, and then they take care of the financials from there, and then they feed that back to Amy.
So we currently are getting that revenue.
Correct. Right.
No, I thought this was the first year we're implementing
Oh, okay.
the Medicaid program.
Did the first year.
And it's when they have to, That's right. They have to ride and then also have services that day that they're at school.
Correct.
So we have
Yeah.
to coordinate all that together, but yeah, because it's new in the law to actually be able to bill for that, to be reimbursed for that service.
Sure.
Right. So yes, we are doing it.
Bob, the pilot program, what was involved with that, or what were you piloting?
The summer, to see how effective our bands would be, what we actually did was, there are a certain pocket of special needs students who attend their school all year round. There's no summer break for them.
Okay.
So what we did was we took our bands and we brought all those kids back in-house and either put them on a special needs bus or a special needs van, and we ran that. Our initial hopeful savings across the summer on those students was about $30,000, but with some of the things that we learned, I think it's probably going to be closer to maybe like 22.
So when we're invoiced, say from Complete Care providers, are they billing a managed care program for picking our kids up? And then they're invoicing us for the service? Or are the only money they're collecting just what they invoice us?
No one's collecting money. We're providing the service, and then we're submitting it to Medicaid grant to be reimbursed.
Okay.
They cannot. If your question is, can they apply for that? They can't do it. It has to come from the school district.
Yes.
And they're not eligible in terms of, there were changes in the way that the route and the funding worked through Hamilton County JFS, where we used to be able to utilize Medicaid, complete Medicaid transportation for separate facility placements for some of them, and Hamilton County changed the rules on that. And so any program where there is educational services in addition to mental health and partial hospitalization, they put back on the school district with about 4 weeks' notice.
Thanks.
Thank you. Motion passed 5-0.
Thank you.
Thanks, Amy.
Next item is a general business item, vendor contracts. I would like to make the public aware that when you open up the attachment that is on that, you will see everything that's listed as a vendor, timeframe, amount, and description. The one change that the business department and Amy have talked about is they will highlight anything in yellow that was not budgeted for. So if there's no highlight around what is listed for the vendor, it was budgeted, there is no new funds. This time we had 2 things budgeted, so I'd like to talk about them before the board votes. One is the Colerain Township Police Officer. Until Hamilton County finishes their traffic study at Wincanton, and they are making us do a traffic study for that area, we will put a police officer to make sure the kids can cross safely across Kemper to Wincanton. We expect the survey to last about 30 days, and in the process, and then we can move forward, and then we'll replace the police officer with our staff member. The other one is the PRCC Child Development Center of Hamilton County. That is a daycare transportation. It is actually not anything that we will lose money on. They are paying the exact amount it costs to bus the children all year long. So,
Todd, did we reach out to the township to at least ask, when we always hear about partnering, if there's any way they would partner with us to help us offset that police officer, since it's for a short amount of time?
Chris, is it a Hamilton County Sheriff that's doing it?
It's Colerain.
Colerain Township?
I mean, the worst they could say is no. I mean, I think it's worth us at least asking if they'd maybe split it with us or something. Thanks.
Maybe tomorrow.
So, found myself. Superintendent and Treasurer recommend the Board of Education approve the vendor contracts as listed.
So moved.
Second?
It's moved in second. Any other questions? Okay. Motion passed 5-0.
The next item is certificated licensed personnel items. The superintendent recommends the Board of Education approve the certificated licensed personnel items as listed.
So moved.
Second.
Moved in second. Questions? Motion passed 5-0.
Next item is classified personnel items. The superintendent recommends the Board of Education approve the classified personnel items as listed.
So moved.
Second?
Moved in second. Questions on classified personnel? Motion passed 5-0.
The next item is curriculum and instruction, Pleasant Run Elementary field trip request. Tracy Johnson is requesting an overnight field trip to Cincinnati Zoo and Botanical Gardens. The trips will be voluntary and of no cost to the district. Superintendent recommends the Board of Education approve the 3 field trips as listed.
So moved.
Second.
Moved in second. Questions?
That's the one where it is the presentation, couple,
Yes.
yeah, with Snake.
Yeah. Motion passed 5-0.
The next item is White Oak Middle School field trip request. They're requesting permission to take their 8th grade students to Washington, D.C. It is a voluntary trip and will be no cost to the district. The superintendent recommends the Board of Education approve the White Oak Middle School field trip as outlined.
So moved.
Second.
Moved in second. Questions, comments? Real quick, I think this is an awesome opportunity for these kids, and this, along with the 3 field trips to the zoo, again, want to thank the staff. I don't think people realize or give the staff enough credit of when you're responsible to take your kids, your students, on these field trips. It's a big responsibility, and I think it's awesome that our kids are getting to do this. The Washington, D.C., as well as the zoo, as long as they don't bring a snake back with them. Again, like I always ask, I would love to hear from these groups to tell us, so we can hear out of their mouths what it was about, especially the DC one. I'd love to hear from the middle school kids.
Kevin asked me to put a plug in if any of you would like to chaperone. He needs 1 to 10, so 1 for every 10 students. So I think, Kevin, you said chaperones are able to go for free.
I
Go
remember
beyond.
going to New York City with
That's going beyond, Joe.
choir and counting to 8, like I don't know how many times. When is it? Let's see.
It's in May of 2020.
Okay, anybody else? Motion passed 5-0.
Next item is a general business item for information only. By law, we need board approval for bus stop locations for board review. So please look them over. If you have any questions, contact myself or Chris McKee and Bob, and we will gladly talk to you. If it is for information, we'll bring it back for action at the next board meeting. Next, we are also required to provide from Student Services the 18-19 Harassment, Intimidation, or Bullying HIB report. Attached is the 18-19 school year summary of harassment, intimidation, or bullying complaints. This report summarized the number of times the parent or student completed the HIB form and the outcome from the investigation of the alleged cases. This is for information only. We will bring it back for action at the next meeting. All right, for superintendent's update, Amy and I are going to split this. I'll take the first part. Wanted to talk about summer permanent improvement projects. In case it was on social media, and I kind of heard it was, we moved the playground from Colerain Elementary before the start of last school year. We moved it around to the side because there was no protection of a car coming off Springdale Road or somebody stopping. What Colerain would do is place a cop between Colerain L and the park last year. So we decided for safety concerns to move the fencing and the playground around to the side. When we did that, the only way we were allowed to move it and do that, Colerain Township has to approve it. So Colerain Township zoning said, we will approve it, you will move it, but you must put a sidewalk in the front area there to act as a bumper to the parking lot. So if people are wondering where the sidewalk came from, it was a zoning requirement from Colerain Township, and the district did have to pay for it because it is on school property. Chris, anything you'd like to add?
And also the plantings are a requirement, is that, so we have the trees and shrubs.
Taylor Elementary, we installed a sidewalk so the kids would have access to the neighborhood behind the school. We are also looking at a sidewalk to Springdale Road, and then in the front of Springdale Road, we have a cop that is already present. So crossing Springdale Road, there will be a cop assisting the students every morning. He is already in place because we must have him there to get the buses in and out in a timely manner when they leave and come back in the morning, and also to help with traffic for the parents. Northwest High School parking lot. Susan has done a very good job of sending out the changes, where before, as you went to the direction I believe is east toward Pippin Road, it was only one way out. Now there's a way in and a way out. So we had to fix some curbs, but we had to repaint, reline, and make it more accessible for the parents and students. And then lastly, PRE, we put fencing and a sidewalk along the playground. Same issue as Colerain L. We didn't want people to be able to drive down the driveway and have access to the kids at PRE. So those are the summer updates of the major projects we had, so we wanted to make sure we covered those for the community. The next thing and before I go to Amy, I'm sorry, Amy. Lindsay, as nervous as can be back there, we did roll out the new website. Right now, it's hit or miss if you can get on it through Google Chrome. But Internet Explorer, I had luck, but Daryl did not. So it might be the
Okay for you to see it, and Explorer, you should be able to see it.
But it's not going to be limited. They will work the kinks out, and hopefully by tomorrow afternoon, we'll be in good shape.
It has to do with DNS, got to take time for it to switch over to the new site.
Okay.
But that's what the company told me about an hour ago.
All right, great. Really appreciate your help with that, Lindsay and Matt. Thank you. The other thing we thought that was important to talk about with the levy coming up is our cash balance policy. I'm going to turn this over to Amy so she can explain what our policy is and why we retain those funds.
Okay. So, yes, we've been getting questions about our cash balance reserves and the carryover that we have on our 5-year forecast. So we have a policy, it's 6220, that says we have a cash balance reserve of 3 months of our operational expenditures. And then we have our resolution that we passed in May for our district financial parameters and community partnership, where we partnered with the community, letting them know that we have a levy on the ballot, that we guarantee it will last for 3 years, and that in conjunction with our cash balance reserve policy, the levy and operations, that will make that work. So what I did was, tonight I just wanted to give us an idea of why we have a cash balance reserve and what amount the cash balance reserve should be. So as nationally, GFOA is the Government Financial Officers Association, so that all governments, and they recommend a minimum of 2 months. A cash balance reserve is to mitigate current and future risk, unanticipated loss in revenue or increases in expenditures, and to ensure a stable tax rate for our community. Because the county has to, we submit a budget every year, and the county auditor's office, working with the treasurer's office, collect taxes based on that budget and what is determined that we need, based on our millage that has been approved and voted on by the community. Most of the time it rolls back, and the millage rates roll back, and the valuation goes up, so we still collect the same amount. But say for our bonds, if the millage was if the valuation goes down and our bonds, we still have to pay this certain amount of money, the county can and would increase the millage rate to collect the same amount of money that we need to pay our debt service payments. So we want to have that cash balance on hand so when the county looks at our budget, looks at the millage rates that they need to, we do amounts and rates every year in the spring, the amounts and rates that they need to collect each year, it keeps it stable and consistent. The adequacy of the unrestricted fund balance for that reserve depends on what we see in the future. You don't want to look at just 1 year. So if we just say just 2 months, that's the minimum, that's all you need, doesn't take into consideration of long-term effects, it just looks at year to year. And so there are things that happen to us, such as state fund cuts, or the state just not passing a budget and not sending any revenue at all. Those are unfunded mandates could increase expenditures, unforeseen changes in the economy. Those are all reasons why we thought at the time we had a balance, that we were partnering with the community to move some money into our master facilities project, and also what amount did we want to keep in our general fund to be able to offset unforeseen circumstances such as revenue cuts or increases in expenditures. We agreed and decided on 3 months at that time. And if you think personal finances, everybody said 3 to 6 months in your savings account, just in case lost a job or something, you have something to fall back on and continue to survive and live. It also protects, as I said, the taxpayers on as far as what the millage rates are, and also our employees, so we can weather versus loss of a job. You can weather a shorter term, maybe not long term, but short term. Some of the factors that affect us, as I said, were the fluctuations in revenue, state budget cuts. It also impacts your bond rating. And so when you go out to sell bonds or need to borrow money as a district, the more cash reserve balance you have on hand, the better rate you get, which also reduces the interest. So if you remember, when we sold our master facilities bonds, we were able to save our community $5 million over the life of those bonds because of our financial situation. The economy at the time had great interest rates, so we were able to get that Moody's AA2, and we've been able to maintain that rating based on our cash balance policies and the cash balance that we've been able to maintain. And it also helps that our community doesn't have to pay for interest that they wouldn't necessarily have to pay by being strong financial stewards of their money. So when I look at our current forecast and where we stand as far as our 3-month policy, right now in fiscal year 2020, we are slightly higher than 2 months, but we are below our 3-month policy. In 2021, if we do not pass a levy, we will fall below the 2 months, and by 2022, we will have a negative cash balance. We did nothing today. With the passage of the levy, current fiscal year, we would maintain and remain between 2 and 3 months, so above bare minimum and below our policy. We would stay that way till 2022, and then by 2023, just 4 years out, we would be below even 2 months by $6 million. And once we eat into that cash balance, it's hard to rebuild it, because mainly what comes in is going out, and even with a levy, what comes in from the levy will be going out for current operations. We don't have a way to ask for more and build that back up. So we're already below our 3-month policy, above the 2-month minimum, and we still have possibly national economic downturns coming in the near future. The state just this year did not pass a budget by June 30th as they're required to, so we had to go into July. They could always reduce our funding as they have in the past. They've cut us $11 million per year since 2004 just by changing the state budget. Nothing we can do about it. So being able to react to those changes, having a buffer to have time to react, and then being able to hopefully withstand maybe an economic downturn, or at least for them as much as possibly, is reasons why we need a cash balance, and that's currently where our stance. Questions? Thank you.
Thanks, Amy. Is that it on yours, Todd?
Yes, that's it.
Okay, at this time, does anybody in the audience have any questions of what was discussed tonight at the meeting? Matt?
I have a question on the harassment, intimidation, and bullying chart. So, for example, when there's 10 allegations at Monroe Middle School, is that 10 separate incidents? It could be complaints about the same offender, but separate incidents, each allegation, or?
I can answer that. I'm going to allow Dustin, who does the investigation. So, Dustin?
So it could potentially be the same victim or harasser. It is possible. This represents the number of times that a parent took the time to fill out the form. So the number 10 would say there's been 10 allegations. The number next to it is the times that they've come back and said, yes, this has reached the threshold that says, yes, this is harassment, intimidation, bullying. Now, there's a number of times that mistreatment is happening, and principals are acting accordingly, but it's a question of whether it reached the threshold that says, yes, it's to that point, and there's a definition at the bottom, it's reached that level.
Right.
So two kids may have an argument, and we may get a HIV form regarding that. Well, if it's a one-time argument that kind of escalated, the principal's gonna handle it. They're still gonna do all the investigation and work through all the processes with the kiddos, but that one-time argument that doesn't escalate to that level probably would not be reflective as one of the verified cases. But it is possible that the same kid's name could be on multiple forms. And I do track that. You know, I keep all those things from all of our buildings come back to my office.
Anybody else? Okay, at this time, we have got to appoint a delegate and an alternate for our annual Ohio School Board Association conference, which is up in Columbus. The actual annual budget meeting is November 11th. I believe, Mark, you were the delegate last year.
Jim was the alternate.
Are you interested in doing that again?
Sure.
Unless there's anyone else that's really wants to do it? Okay. And then an alternate.
Yeah, that's fine.
Is that okay? So if, is there anyone else that would want to do the delegate or the alternate? Okay. Sure. I'm assuming it probably won't, it'll probably be shortly, you'll have to know who's going, right, Chris?
We can log out.
Do you want me to log?
We can log out. You shouldn't have to log out, just rejoin the meeting. Which states that when Smart Gilbert is done, then that's all as alternate at the bottom.
Oh, it does. Oh, I didn't mean to sound surprised. Oh, it does. Oops.
Technology.
Wow. Okay. Thank you for agreeing to do that. Okay, at this time, we'll go into board members' comments. Joe, do you have anything? Oh, okay, I'm sorry, I didn't see the vote. I thought I even looked.
So moved.
Well, I'm staring at it, but let me, yeah, it's,
It's coming. Oh, maybe I'll go back to it. There we are.
okay,
So moved.
second. Motion passed 5-0. Now we'll go to board member comments. I'm sorry, Joe, did you have any?
Just one real brief thing here. The deferred action for childhood arrivals do exist in our district. And I would hate to see something like what happened in Mississippi happen in our district. I was assured by the assistant superintendent that we do have a safety net for these kids. Hopefully it'll never happen in our district. That's it.
Thanks, Joe. Diane? Okay, Mark?
First, I want to thank everybody that participated in the Community Connect at Colerain High School. Several churches and Jack and his team organized a community coming together to do several projects around the high school. So I want to thank everybody for doing that, coming together as a community. Second, I want to welcome all the new staff and educators that will be teaching in the district. I think we have a new individual here in the crowd already, so welcome to Northwest Local, and we look forward to supporting you in any way. And I'm excited about the Go Beyond. I know that there will probably be some lifts associated with that. You know, I think some of the key words that you pointed out were relationships. I think everybody's going to have to go into this with a very open mind. Historical things that have occurred that may have created separations and AO and frontline staff, all that will have to be put to rest, and everybody will have to come out on a common stone and really start pushing this initiative forward for it to take root. So I really hope that that happens, and I just hope we start the school year off nice and safe, as Pam was saying. Thank you to all the transportation folks for their efforts. I don't think we really comprehend how much goes on behind the scenes to ensure safe travel with our students. So,
Jim?
I just kind of want to second what Mark just said. Bob, great presentation. The parents would definitely use that. If I had kids, I'd like, buses come in, hey, when they going to be there, that kind of stuff. I really like that. And then I wanted to thank Todd and Daryl and Brenda on the strategic plan presentation. It was excellent, and basically pointed out everything that people call you in, ask questions, and it covered everything. So very good there. I want to wish everybody good luck on school starts Thursday, and good luck to all the kids. And
Jim, just to point to what you said, I'm just the mouthpiece for that. There's a guy that did all the work.
Yeah.
on that.
Great job.
And actually, Matt, I was going to say, great job, and all the behind-the-scenes people don't realize everything it takes, taking care of the glitches and everything else for the stuff that goes on our website, all the technology. Lindsay, amazing job. I love all the stuff I'm seeing. Not only Colerain, but I saw the majority of our buildings had days where members of the community were helping spruce up the landscaping, and it's exciting. I want to wish everybody a good start to the school year. However, we shouldn't forget our teachers. This wasn't really the first day, because I would probably say the majority, if not all of them, probably have been planning ever since the end of last school year of what they're going to do different, or what they want to do for this year, and they work many hours outside of the building, let alone in the building. I want to thank our custodial staff, our maintenance staff. Again, a lot goes on behind the scenes to make sure these schools are ready when those doors open for the kids to come in. So we really do appreciate all the dedication and hard work. And all our athletic teams have been practicing this summer, and I know the season has started for most of them, and we want to wish everybody good luck on that too. So with that, I believe I need a motion to go into executive session to discuss evaluation of the superintendent and treasurer.
So moved.
second?
It's been moved and seconded. Are there any questions? I will let you know that when we come back, we will just adjourn. You're welcome to stay until we come back, but we won't be taking any action. So with that, we have a vote. Motion passed 5-0. Thank you.